Cashiers got y'all that mad? Wow. Just wow. Now available in paperback and e-readers, eSteam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice, social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new eSteam series adventure. Get eSteam Cancel Vacation in paperback and e-readers today. I got a comment on my video talking about how Walmart's self-checkout is a failure that I found to be quite troubling. Now, this viewer decided to drop a comment where they were expressing how upset they were about the bad attitudes of cashiers and how they didn't want to deal with the bad attitudes of cashiers. Now, as I listened to this viewer's statements, they really were ones that I found to be quite troubling because it showed how a man was letting his feelings about women cloud his judgment. And that is one of the worst things a man can do, is let his feelings about a situation cloud his judgment, because that's going to make him react in a way that is detrimental to himself. Now, when it comes down to these whole self-checkout registers, these registers basically are a failure in retail. And many of the executives at places like Walmart, Target, Costco, and many of these other retailers like CVS and Rite Aid, they've just got to admit that these self-checkouts are a certified failure and go out here and acknowledge that this isn't working. Because over the last year, retailers all across the country have reported over $100 billion in losses as related to shrink due to shoplifting. And with retailers losing over $100 billion in a calendar year, they have to realize that this whole approach to trying to eliminate a cashier position is not going to reap them any profits, and it's actually gone out here and caused them to have lots of losses. Now, back in 2018, when I was at a Target on 149th Street and Exterior Street here in the Bronx, and I started to see the self-checkout registers being installed, I said that this was going to be a disaster. And almost 5 years later, we see that this has become a multi-billion-dollar disaster for retailers, and it's time for executives to go out here and swallow their pride, because you just can't keep taking on losses and be able to stay in business. That's just common sense as related to business. However, this viewer got so in their feelings about the idea of cashiers coming back that they just went on a rant. And again, that's just showing how a man's emotions are clouding his judgment as related to business, and that is one of the worst things you could ever do as related to yourself. Now, the whole thing is that yes, there are some women out here who have bad attitudes, who work in customer service, but the whole thing is that you have to see it as, I'm only engaging in this business exchange for 5 minutes, and I'm not going to go out here and take things personal. Because, yeah, we all deal with cashiers who have nasty attitudes, and we all deal with cashiers who provide less than stellar customer service. However, they are an essential part of a business, and many retailers are soon finding out that these employees who they thought they could get rid of for automation are an essential part of a business maintaining its ability to remain profitable. Because when it comes to business, it's better to go out here and pay an employee rather than go out here and lose a lot of money as related to your business, because with the automated cashiers, what people are doing is participating in shoplifting in record numbers. Moreover, the efforts to try to go out here and use technology to try to stop shoplifting are further going to damage the brand of many of these retailers, because if you've got to go to the lengths of going out here and putting up all of these cameras to catch license plates and trying to send police after people who in some cases may not have even stolen anything. What you're doing is doing damage to your business's brand and reputation, and that is what has happened at Walmart as it tries to double down and tries to go out here and try to stop shoplifting through this elaborate computer system. And in addition, they've gone out here and hired a whole lot of personnel to work as pseudo security at the front door to check receipts. And as you've hired all of this pseudo security, which is not even licensed and certified for doing security work, what you're doing is further trying to triple down on a failed business approach, because you are now hiring the same amount of employees that could have worked the front end, and you're going out here having these people put themselves and their health and safety in jeopardy, trying to stop somebody from allegedly shoplifting, or as related to the registers that you have that are automated. So you're hiring twice as many employees to try to keep a system in place that clearly is not working, and that is not an efficient use of your resources, and it is not an efficient use of your staff. And it is not effective as related to providing the customers with a good customer experience, because if your employees are out here confronting your customers, what it's doing is creating a hostile environment where your customers don't feel comfortable and safe coming to your business, and that de-incentivizes those customers from being motivated to come to your business once again. So when I look at the whole efforts to try to keep these automated self-checkouts in place, they are just too complicated and, again, too expensive in contrast to running the cashiers. And again, when I look at that as things as related to business, it is hurting Walmart's bottom line and the bottom line of many retailers who put in self-checkout. So when I look at the whole concept of self-checkout, this whole effort to try to automate the front end has proven to be a certified failure, because if you're hiring twice as many employees to work the front door and check receipts, then that's the same amount of money you would have spent on cashiers. Again, you're paying the cashier maybe $15 to $20 an hour, but you're paying these people to work the front door $15 to $20 an hour, so you're not really gaining anything, and you would have gained a lot more as related to intangibles like your customer service and your brand by having more cashiers at the registers to process people quickly. It just would have been a lot easier, again, as related to building your brand, to hire more cashiers, because again, you're processing people quicker. But many people out here, they don't really see how this is just costing these businesses money, and again, getting in their feelings about a cashier having a bad attitude. And again, that's something that could be easily rectified by just going out here and contacting corporate as related to the customer service you're receiving. That is what somebody who's a critical thinker does when they run into people who are providing poor customer service. What they do is report them to the corporate office, and the corporate office will go out here and deal with them. Now, there are ways to do this, like such. When you get your receipt, there's at the bottom of your receipt, there's usually a survey that you can go to on their website to go talk to them. And again, this is something some guys don't understand, because they get in their feelings about women, and they let their feelings about women cloud their judgment. And again, you can't let your feelings about women cloud your judgment, because if you start to get emotional about women, what you're going to do is, again, react to those women. And as you react to those women, you're going to go out here and act in a way that winds up being detrimental to yourself. Because when I was listening to that emotional rant about cashiers. Again, I just found it to be quite troubling. And again, I found it to be troubling because you're getting emotional about a interaction that you're having with a woman at a register for about maybe 5 or 10 minutes and getting upset to the point where you're just not thinking rationally or critically. Again, the way you deal with these kinds of women is not to argue with these kinds of women or get upset about them. No, you contact corporate, let them know that this person has a bad attitude, and they will go out here and try to deal with this person. Moreover, when you're out here and you're dealing with these kind of people, again, you have to have understanding that, yeah, I'm only going to be dealing with this person for 5 minutes, but this business may not be here if the shoplifting continues as related to the self-checkout. And that was the entire point of the previous video. The point of the previous video was all about how these retailers like Walmart, Target, Costco's, and many others like CVS and ShopRite and many others, this self-checkout is not checking out for them, and it's not working out for them because more shrink is leaving the store than items that are purchased that can be they could make profit on. And again, when you're in business, you want to go out here and do things that are going to make you money, and it's clear that automation as related to cashiers just isn't working because it's, one, not going out here and providing a shopping experience for the customer that provides them with satisfaction. 2, it is not stopping any sort of shrink. And 3, the company is not really making any money by eliminating these jobs because they have to go out here and hire people to be pseudo security. So clearly this approach just isn't working, and it's just showing that there are some costs as related to business that are completely fixed, and with those costs as related to business being completely fixed, there's no way to get around them because you need these people to do this work in order to make money for yourself. Now, I have heard that Walmart and many retailers, they have a hard time finding cashiers. And again, one of the reasons why many companies have a hard time finding people is due to the way people are treated. And as somebody who worked in retail as his first couple of jobs, I can tell you one of the reasons why there is a lot of people with turnover is, again, due to the way many managers go out here and mistreat people. And sometimes a lot of those people, they wind up becoming frustrated and having an attitude due to the way many managers go out here and mistreats people on places like front end. Many of the managers there are not really respectful of people. Many of the managers aren't very tactful at treating people, and that creates a hostile environment for many of the people who do work in retail, like I did when I first started in my 20s, and I even have done, again, as working the science library's front desk. A lot of times it's the managers who create a hostile environment, and some people don't know how to navigate through their emotions, so they take it out on people, and I don't condone that at all. That's, again, where a good leader comes in and, again, tries to motivate the team. But the whole thing is that in many retail establishments, there's no real leadership in place that makes people feel secure, and that's why you get these surly and rude individuals as related to customer service, because you got no leadership there looking to go out here and look out for the people working for them. That's one of the reasons why you see a lot of people who are just in these jobs who are rude and nasty, because there's a rude, nasty manager in place. And again, this is one of the things that is hurting retail, this lack of leadership, because the whole effort to try to dehumanize the entire shopping experience at the front end is what happens when you have really cold and cruel people running things and people too proud to admit when they're wrong. Because when you have years of almost $100 billion in losses. This is, and continue to double down on policies that do not work. That is a sign that somebody is just too proud to admit when they're wrong. And that's one of the worst things you could have in business, because it shows a complete lack of character. Because a person of character is going to say, okay, we rolled this out, we implemented this, it is costing us losses, and we just have to admit that it doesn't work. Because if you've got judgments like Walmart had as related to an incident where an older woman was profiled for alleged shoplifting that was proven to be wrong, and you've got a $2.1 million judgment against you, then it's clear that the self-checkout is costing you more than it's worth, and the bad publicity and the bad press that is turning customers away from shopping at the store. This is clear. This is worse than the money you're losing, because you're damaging your reputation. And if you damage your reputation, then you're going to wind up losing customers due to bad word of mouth. And again, it's clear that the self-checkout is costing retailers more than what it's worth. And that's why I wanted to make the video talking about why this self-checkout is a failure. And what's really sad is I got a viewer in their feelings about Cashiers to the point where they were about to lose it. And again, that's just not showing strong resolve, because you shouldn't be getting upset over somebody you're in line with for just a couple of minutes. Because again, I've run into people with bad attitudes at the post office. I've run into people with bad attitudes at the supermarket. And again, usually these people don't last very long, because eventually people do start to complain, and that person is usually pulled from that position. And again, if you want to deal with a person with a bad attitude, you go out here and complain to their bosses. That's how you get that person pulled. And usually what happens is this person is not going to be around for long, just like their manager isn't going to be around for long. Because if you complain to corporate, what corporate is going to do is start taking a look at that manager, start taking a look at that front end, and they're going to start making some changes, because they want their customers to have a good shopping experience, and they want people to feel comfortable about coming to the store. And what's keeping people from wanting to come to the stores these days is all of this shoplifting as related to this self-checkout. And again, the self-checkout is not bringing in customers, it's bringing in criminals, because the criminals feel comfortable about coming in the store to steal. And that is the main reason why I say self-checkout is a failure, because it's not giving customers an incentive to come in and buy things. No, it's giving criminals and criminal rings an opportunity to come into a store to steal. And again, this is why executives have to swallow their pride and admit something failed. That's what a business person does when they are out here. They admit, okay, something has failed, and now it's time to go back to what works. And what works right now are cashiers. They are the first eyes and ears of the store that see who is coming in the store, and they see who is coming out. And when they are scanning items, they ensure that most of the items that are posted or presented are going to get scanned and people are going to be charged for them. So it's a way of ensuring you're going to be able to sell all of your items, and items won't get stolen. And again, that's a small price to pay as related to your business overall, because if the self-checkout is showing that people out here are taking advantage of it, then you've got to go out here and admit, okay, we tried this as related to the self-checkout, so we're going to go out, we see that it's a failure. And when you see something's a failure, you have to go out here and put a period at the end of things, not be like a codependent individual and continue to double down on things with elaborate systems to try to make it work, because that's what simps and beta males try to do. They try to shoehorn and force things to work when they're clearly not working, and the only thing that's going to break is their mind as they're trying to make these things work as related to life. Because if things aren't working, they aren't working for a reason. And if things aren't working for a reason, then you have to accept that this is not working. And if something is not working, then you have to admit that it doesn't work and go on with your life. This is something I talk about in depth in my book, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. And I also go in depth on it in Stop Simping in the Workplace. Again, in the workplace, when something isn't working, then you have to try a different approach, because the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result. And again, doubling down on what doesn't work is why American business right now is struggling, and why many American businesses are taking huge losses as related to shrink in retail and box office failures. Again, doubling down on what doesn't work isn't going to get you the results that you want. And that is a major point that I wanted to make in the previous video, and I'm making in this video, because getting in your feelings and about women, that's not going to help as related to a business situation. No, in a business situation, you can't let your feelings cloud your judgment. You have to accept, okay, what's not working doesn't work, put a period at the end of it and move on, because getting in your feelings about women, that is the thing that's going to hurt you, and it's going to lead to you making bad business decisions, because you're sitting here getting upset about a woman that you're talking to for about 5 minutes, not understanding how this is impacting your life. And when I listen to the viewer again and listening to them, it's clear to me they have the same issue I've seen a lot of guys on social media have about women. They get so in their feelings about women that it's basically clouding their judgment, and it's clouding it to the point where they're not thinking critically, and they're getting, again, because if you can get triggered about a cashier or anybody at a front desk, again, that really is sad, because you shouldn't be getting upset about somebody who you're going to see for about 5, maybe 10 minutes and be on your way. That shouldn't be triggering you to the point where you're getting so upset that you don't want to even go and approach a cashier to go get your items paid for, because I'm not taking it that personally. All I want to do is go out here and get my product and pay for my product and be on my way. That person's feelings about me, I could care less about. All I want to do is get my transaction done. And again, if this person is that much of a problem, again, people are going to start complaining, and that's how you deal with someone like this, because it's a simple solution. If the manager or the people there care, or the corporate cares, they're going to get rid of that person, and it's not worth you losing your mind over a woman at a register. I mean, it just should not be that personal to anyone. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to a lot of guys out here getting this upset, you can pick up my books, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, on Amazon.com, along with Stop Simping in the Workplace. You can find both of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos about retail and customer service, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes, 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.